Hello everybody, today we're going to be doing Quarantine Crash, an idea of mine where we just crash through whatever I can to make myself not be bored. So we've got the Create This Book 2 by Mariah Elizabeth, and it's a really fun book. I love it, honestly. I did the first one, and I'm signing my name, and I'm freaking out a little bit because Sharpie bleeds through these pages, which I probably would have known if I read everything from the details of this book. I didn't beforehand, so that led me to a little bit of a problem in the beginning, but we're still gonna have fun. So I just found a colored pencil that I can use, and I read the pages, and it does say that you can use a colored pencil and it won't damage the pages in any way, which I was really happy for because I do love colored pencils. They're one of my favorite mediums to use of all time. So I'm just signing down the date there, and I'm having to put what my goal is, and I said to please finish this book, and please ignore the fact that I don't know how to spell. That was a little embarrassing. So my first thought was to just start at the first page, but unfortunately I didn't want to destroy the book just yet, so I decided to just scroll through until I found a good page. Now I found a Create a Dream Landscape, and I really liked the idea. I didn't really know what to do at first, so it was a little bit difficult to figure out, but in the end I was really happy with this piece. So one of my favorite things that I've been doing lately is to take one color and make various shades, hues, whatever the actual term for it is, and then make a piece out of that. I know a lot of people find it difficult, and at times for me it is difficult because I can't always come up with an idea without being like, ooh, this would be a cool pop of color. But unfortunately, I make myself do it anyways. It's a good challenge. It's a good skill to learn how to use one color and make various shades and hues of it to make sure your piece is all cohesive, because I tend to have a problem with using way too many colors in my piece. I started off with a lighter shade on top because my idea was kind of like the ocean, the water, because lately I have developed a bit of a fear of, well, the ocean, but kind of water in general, because I don't like not seeing what's under my feet. That freaks me out, so I don't really like water, but I know how beautiful it can be and how amazing it can be, so I decided to give it a go and try to make something out of it. Now, one problem I did kind of have with this paper was it didn't blend paints very well. Now, I'm not sure if that's my paint or this paper, but the paper is kind of thin, so I didn't use as much paint as I probably could have. And my paints are pretty cheap because that's what I can afford right now. But other than that, I didn't have a lot of problems using paint on this paper, using wet medium, but other than that, it was a wonderful time. I really love these books. They get your creative juices flowing, and you can just spend hours on page after page after page until the book is done. And I really want to finish this book, so I hope you guys will join in with me on that wonderful quest that I have. During this time and all that's gone around, painting has really been the one thing that I've come back to. I have missed it dearly, and I kind of let it go as one of the hobbies that I kind of really needed to keep going. And starting this channel and learning all these new things has been pretty stressful, which is why I'm so happy that the first thing I did was a painting piece. It really is relaxing. It's really something that even if you have no talent whatsoever, just throwing some colors on a canvas and swishing them around and hoping it comes out great it's something that everybody can do, and something that everybody should do, in my opinion. Just have some form of creative outlet where you can just throw all of the things that you've been feeling onto a paper, onto a canvas, onto anything. Literally pick up a piece of cardboard and put paint on it, and you'll wonder how you never did this before and how you never thought of doing something so simple. Now here's the part that I believe a lot of artists struggle with, is not over complicating a piece or going back when you're like, okay, I'm done, but I could do this, I could fix this, I could change this. That's a dangerous road to go down. If you keep touching your piece over and over again when you think you're satisfied, but then there's something you would like to change, it's okay to make small changes. But when you go in and you basically change the whole piece because you weren't satisfied with one thing, you can lose what can be a wonderful piece. And that can be heartbreaking in its own way. This is where the piece goes from kind of fun, kind of airy, kind of whimsical, to bringing in that kind of scary aspect that I have with the ocean. not being able to see the bottom and just having all this weird stuff kind of down there that could get you, that's kind of terrifying in its own right. And I know there are like places where you can see all the way down to the bottom and the water is completely clear, but I don't think I'm ever going to be able to go to those places in my lifetime, so I think the ocean will forever be a pretty scary place for me. I don't really know if I like these seaweed tentacle things, but it's what came in my head because you can't really tell what's seaweed and what's not, so that's kind of the scary part of the whole thing. But it was a little frustrating because I only have so many brushes, so many types of paint. And then I had this brilliant idea to put almost like stars into the piece, kind of like how the ocean and space is often compared, and I was like, yeah, that's a cool idea. Except I wasn't very smart, and I did not wait for the paint to dry, and that is a reoccurring theme in this piece, as you will see a little bit later. One of the things I did change, which I believe made it a little better, was I did crisscross some of the seaweed because I felt like that would make it look more dense and less like a 6-year-old did the piece, which I think it helped a little bit, if not a lot. I'm not really sure. Let me know what you guys think. I wasn't really happy with the whole seaweed aspect of it, but I did like the piece in its entirety, which is all that I needed. It was right here that I realized not only did the paint need to dry more, I needed to use the paint pen like an actual paint pen. I often forget how to use some kinds of materials because I don't use them as much as I probably should or could. Now the piece was finished, so I just had to seal it with some Mod Podge, which is what Mariah Elizabeth suggested in the beginning of her book. Except I hadn't used this in quite a while, so the cap was really glued on there. I tried everything, I tried my strength, I even went at it with a paintbrush, which in the end made a little bit of a mess. But it wasn't too bad. I was already putting Mod Podge on the page, so getting a little on there wasn't a big issue. Now, me being how impatient I am, didn't wait long enough to put the Mod Podge over the piece. So the black paint was not dry, and that was a reoccurring problem even as I pursued forward to try and seal the piece, even though the paint was not dry. I kept poking at the black paint, I kept dabbing it with a brush to see if that would help. No, I should have just waited for it to dry, but I have never been really patient when it comes to finishing an art piece. I want it done as soon as possible so that I can look at it afterwards and be like, hey, I did that. I didn't wait. I did not. I just went on to the next side of the page for the blue part and hoped that somehow it would dry by the time I was done and that I wouldn't have to wait anymore. That was not how this was gonna go. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that the blue of the page changes every few seconds. I believe that is because my phone is trying to color correct, because the lights I currently have on are aquarium lights. They are to help plants grow in the water, and they're a lot of different colors, so the phone must have gotten rather confused. But here I am obnoxiously trucking forward trying to seal this black paint, even though it is definitely not dry, and it's probably going to be my downfall. Now it is around here that I have realized that I am done with this piece. I don't have to ever touch it again or look at it again. And I am done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. No more drying of black paint. So I will let you guys go here. And I wish you all a wonderful day or a wonderful night or anything. But goodbye.